And we are live. Hey, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Queen Photographer Show here on Facebook Live. And I'm excited. This evening, I have Sharetha Emmanuel of Sharetha Monique Photography.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to
That's okay.
sorry.
That's okay. It happens.
And I'm excited. This evening, I have Sharetha Emmanuel of Sharetha Monique Photography. Hey, everyone, and welcome to sorry. That's okay. It happens.
You just reminded me how much hearing my voice makes me cringe.
Like, oops, okay, I just need to share that and then I'm off.
Again, welcome and thank you everyone for joining the Queen Photographers show on Facebook Live. And I have Sharetha Emmanuel of Sharetha Monique Photography based in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm excited to have her and for us to listen to her story and have her talk about all things Sharetha Monique. But before I get started, I'm going to share this in our collaborative. If you're not familiar with the Queen Photographers Collaborative, this is our free Facebook group for any woman of color photographer, even non-women of color photographers, as well as our creative partners like makeup artists, hairstylists, event planners, and so on and so forth. So if you ever want to connect with the Queen, if you ever want to connect with another creative who is in support of the Queen Photographers and what we do, please feel free to join the group. And we are excited to have you. And especially if you are a woman of color photographer, click the link in the comment to join us. If you go to that link, you'll get an email, with, before you go to get the email, you will fill out a form that lets us know where you're from, so that we can connect you to the right group. So one of the main things that we strive for within the Queen Photographers is connecting queens to other queens in their city so that, you know, you're not alone and you know that you have other women of color photographers like right in your backyard that you can kind of connect with. If you want to meet up, we have meetups with our area leaders, or if you just kind of want to meet up on your own and get to know other queens. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for those who are joining live. Hey, Demi. She says, Team Charlotte and Sharetha. Hey, Angelia. Thank you, Queens, for joining live. And if you're watching the replay, too, feel free to drop in and let us know where you're tuning in from, because we love, love, love to welcome queens from all over the country, even internationally as well. We have some queens who are international in our collaborative group. So when you hop on, let us know where you're tuning in from. And we will go ahead and get started. So I'm going to give the mic, the imaginary mic, over to Sharetha and let her introduce herself.
Hey, everybody. I am Sharetha Emmanuel. I know a lot of people were probably surprised to see my full name, but I am my business name is Sharetha Monique Photography. I am a child and family photographer out of Charlotte, and I've been doing this I actually just celebrated my 3rd business anniversary this week.
Yay,
so.
Congratulations.
I'm excited. I actually didn't think that I was going to, be doing that 3 years later. So That's another story.
All right. So awesome. Sharetha, tell us your coming to story. How did you get started in photography?
Yes. So a lot of people always say, and I'm with them, I've always liked photography, and, taking pictures, but I honestly never thought that I could be a photographer. Just didn't think that I had the creativity or, even just the ability to, be a photographer, just because I've always been in corporate, and I still do work a full-time job in corporate America. So I just never thought about being a photographer. But I had an experience with, once I had children, my oldest daughter has special needs. And when I went to a photography studio to get her photos done for her 4th birthday, we had a really hard time getting good pictures and interacting with the photographer. And just kind of the experience wasn't that great for the photographer, for her, for me. So at that point, I said, I'm not going to put Addison through this with getting pictures done anymore. I'm going to start taking pictures of her myself because I know how to interact with her and, get those genuine smiles and reactions that I wanted from my photos. So that was kind of like the push that I needed to, buy my first DSLR, which I did a few months later. Still not thinking that I would go into business, but I started taking pictures of her. And actually, let me go back. Once I got my DSLR, I realized I didn't know anything about using it or taking pictures or getting good pictures. And so that's when I decided to take like online classes. And I did that. I got, much more interested in it and started picking up, kind of the technical concepts around photography and, getting good pictures of her. And then just kind of went from there. And I was kind of like, oh, I can do this and I would love to do this for other families. And so that's how I kind of moved into child and family photography.
Awesome. I love how your own, and I've heard this from other photographers too, how their own experience, their own unpleasant experiences was really what led them into starting their own business, or at least wanting to learn more about how they can do that on their own. So can you tell me a little bit more about, when you went through that experience with your daughter and how unpleasant it was and how, it just wasn't ideal, what did you take from that you now do in your business today?
So the main thing is I actually take time, to get to know my clients and kind of understand their needs and what they're looking to get from their photo sessions, and just taking more time. We actually went to a photographer that was very rushed. I think our session was maybe like 15, 20 minutes or something short. And it just wasn't enough time to just even get to know Addison or, just get to know us or anything like that. There was no preparation beforehand. And that's something that I can do with business now. I tend to, find out what they're looking for ahead of time. I talk to them and kind of understand what they're looking for in that session and try to meet those needs during our photo session.
And that's so key, and I agree, and glad to hear that you say that too, that client experience can really make or break, whether somebody's going to refer you, whether they're going to book you again. Excuse me. So taking the time to get to know your client and taking the time to really like figure out like what do they need, because not everybody says that they want pictures, but what's the next step? We gotta think about that. So I love how you shared like enhancing that experience with your client is something that you adopt in your own business. Yeah. All right. So tell us about some challenges that you faced along the way in your photography journey.
So I guess there's different things, and I guess in the beginning, it was mainly around just, learning the technical aspects of photography, finding myself in photography. And that's actually still something that I deal with, just, figuring out my style, how I want to present my art, or, making sure that I'm representing what the family or the children, how they want to be presented in my photos. So I still struggle with that a little bit, with finding style. I would say, just there's a lot of great photographers around, and just, in the beginning, I was always looking at other people's work and saying, okay, how can I get my work to look like that? Or how can I, get my greens to look like that, or whatever, instead of just, following the process and allowing myself to grow in my work and in my art.
Yeah. Demi says your style is beautiful. She loves your images.
Thank you, Demi.
No, I agree. And it's hard, especially when, there's so many things that that you could be working on. And for, one of the main things that we try to do is photos. They're like they're very visual. It's a visual art. We want to make sure that it looks like how we envision it in our heads. And so that can really be hard when you're doing all these things and trying to get up, and then you're looking at other people's work. it can really distract you from enjoying the process of learning.
Right.
And I don't think that is a challenge that only newer photographers have. Like you said, sometimes you struggle with it too. I do the same thing. I've seen beautiful images online or on Instagram, like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what they did to get that melanin to pop, like, just like that, but like, oh, I wish I knew how to do that.
Exactly.
Like you said, it's the process, and it's a journey, but, I think, as Demi says, she loves your style. There are always people who appreciate what we have, and how we do it, regardless of, our own internal, desires to like improve and, continue to get better. I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting better. But there's also something to say about being content with
your process.
Yeah, with your process and where you are. Awesome.
Yeah, and the other thing that I wanted to add, I know I talked about, the kind of like the technical part about photography, but one of the other challenges, especially with shooting children and families, is with families, I sometimes struggle. There's usually one person that really wants to do the photo shoot, and there's usually one or two people that kind of don't want to do the photo shoot. Mm-hmm. So this, kind of getting everybody on board to kind of get the images that we want, is a little bit of a challenge sometimes, depending on the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally agree. So what do you do in that case? Like, how do you get them to be like hip to the process?
Yeah, so I usually, just kind of talk to them throughout. I have no problems being like really silly. Like I get really silly, just to the point of just getting genuine laughs and smiles. Like I literally will threaten, as an example, I will threaten a dad and say, I will literally tickle you if you don't want to be here. And I usually get like a genuine laugh and like you're not going to ask. Like I will literally pull out, tickle fingers like I do with the kids. And it actually, fixes the ice and it works. So I don't have any problems doing that.
I need to hire you to tell that to my husband and see what his reaction would be.
I get some interesting expressions, but it usually works, and they loosen up about midway through.
Well, cool. I love that how you insert your personality in there too to to get people to warm up and to kind of show that, look, it's not just sit here, pose, be serious. Like, it's about having fun. It's about being with your family and just creating images that commemorate this period of time in your lives where, whether it's a milestone or whether it's just, hey, we're here and we're enjoying ourselves together. That's important. And it's important, like you said, for everybody to be invested in that process, even if everybody's not like writing a paycheck or making the main decisions of what's going to be ordered or what have you.
Exactly.
Okay, so I know, this month, excuse me, I knew this was going to happen. I know this month we're talking about kids and family photography, and Ashley says beautiful work. Yes, she has amazing work. And I want to say too that I remember we talked about this I think it was at the Vision More party or some other event where we were there, and we're talking about your fine art photography. So tell us about that.
So that came about a few years ago, kind of actually right after I started photography. Like I always, I liked just taking pictures of I'm really into nature right now, so I'll just take pictures of like random, flowers or leaves, and it's kind of like my opportunity to kind of like play and be creative because I don't have to, meet other people's expectations, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And so I get to, play with macro and, lens shake and just kind of be very creative to my own. It's kind of like my own release, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And so, once I did, and I can't even remember actually the first fine art photo that I took, but I'm kind of building a collection, and I have a color collection, a black and white collection, and I've gotten feedback from my friends and family and other photographers like yourself, and most people are like, wow, it's really nice. And so I continue to just, improve on that and grow and get feedback, and I enjoy it.
And she's being like really humble right now, y'all. Like, what's your fine art Instagram?
It's just Sharetha Monique.
Okay.
So my business page is Sharetha Monique Photography, and then my fine arts page is just Sharetha Monique.
Go to Sharetha Monique. I mean, go to both pages, Sharetha Monique Photography and Sharetha Monique. But y'all, her work is so good. It is so good. And you talk about it like, yeah, you're very humble about it, which is not a bad thing at all. But when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so good. Not that I was surprised that it was you. But it's just really beautiful work. And even at our vision board party, we were talking about manifesting, like, even the things that we would love to see, like, on a grander scale. And I don't know if we were talking about, like, West Elm, like, having your work there, or...
Yeah, that I used to say that last year, like, I'm going to be, have my work in West Elm or Target. So I am still going to work on that.
Okay. Well, I will not be surprised if, I don't really shop in West Elm a lot, but I am in Target a lot. So, be looking for your work in Target. Seriously, Demi says she's very, very humble because she is talented. Yes, she is. And I think too, like you said, especially when your art is something that is super personal too, it may, I feel like when it's like that personal, where it's something that, we don't intend for it to blow up and be like super commercial, that it's a little bit, I don't know, the way we perceive it may be a lot different than how others who are just appreciating and enjoying the art may see it too. Mm-hmm. Lindsay says Sharetha's fine art collection is beautiful. I especially like the black and white photos. I love the black and white photos.
Thank you.
For sure.
Those are my favorite too, I think.
Yeah? Yeah.
I do. I actually have some printed in my house, but.
All right. Yeah. Demi said, go ahead and make a photo book or something. That'd be nice. Mm-hmm. But just throwing that out there. Thank you, Demi, for putting some more creative inspiration to the atmosphere for her.
Demi and I can collaborate because she has the words and I have the pictures, and
that would be nice. See, y'all brainstorming over the live session. Look at you.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell us. Okay, we'll go back to kid and family photography too. So tell us more about. She said she wants her 20%.
I got you.
So tell us more about the actual process of being a family photographer. So from wherever you want to start, like tell us about your process.
Got you. So I use like a client management system, and I've kind of developed some questionnaires that I send to all my families ahead of time to help plan for their session. So it's just easier so I can reference back to it later. So I'll send a questionnaire and just tell them they don't have to answer every question, but as much information as they want to give me around how they envision their session. I ask things about, the ages of their kids, the kids' names, what the kids like to do, what mom and dad like to do, how long they've been married, just general information about the families. Like I said earlier, just to get to know them better and kind of help customize their sessions. And I usually try to incorporate, based on what they tell me in that questionnaire, I'll make recommendations that's how I make recommendations on where we're going to do the photo shoot. And then, what I give them, ideas on how to dress for the photo shoot. And then if they want to incorporate props in their photo shoot, it usually comes about, I'll make suggestions based on the type of session and what they tell me in that questionnaire. And then once they complete that and we kind of plan out the session, we kind of meet up. I'll, touch base a couple days ahead of time, make sure we both have the right understanding. And another thing I ask in that questionnaire is, what kind of artwork are they looking for? Are they looking for like albums? Do they want wall art? Do they just want prints? And we kind of figure that out ahead of time. And then once we do the session, we'll meet up about a week later where I show them their photos. and they usually love the entire gallery. And,
humble brag.
The entire gallery, and then we kind of figure out what products they're going to order from there.
Awesome. So I've seen a couple of your products. You showed us at the Visional Party, which you really put me on to metal prints after that day. I swear, like that was
everybody loves metal print.
So what are some of your favorite products to offer, and like what your clients like from what they typically order from you?
Gotcha. So my favorite product, I actually love the albums. So I have what I call the fine art album. It has leather cover, the thick pages, and it usually has at least 20 pages in it. It depends on how many photos are in their album. But I love the albums just because it's something that will probably be passed down a generation or two. It's really high quality. My clients they like that as well. They'll also usually when I show them the metal print, and my sample is huge. It's like
it is
20, it's like 24 by, I don't know. It's huge.
It's beautiful too.
Yeah. And so usually it's like, oh my gosh, I want that. Like I've never seen something, that big, and it's like aluminum. It's printed on aluminum. So it makes an impression. So they like that a lot. I actually just had a family that ordered a metal print. I can't wait. I actually haven't delivered it yet because we're waiting on the album to come in. But I'm very excited for them to see it because it's a really nice family photo. I think it's there's 6 or 7 people in the family, so it's really nice to just kind of have that memento. And people do order canvases as well.
Okay. Awesome. Ashley has a question. She says, do you take macro shots during the family session as well?
I do not. And the only reason why, to be honest, I'm kind of afraid. Like I don't think the families may like it as much as I do. And I actually may need to test that theory, but I'm just, thinking that they won't like it. So I don't do this I don't freelance or anything like that during my sessions. I would like to, I just haven't done it yet. But, kind of for my own personal work, I do all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question. And Lindsay says she loves the calendar idea, by the way. Ashley said...
Is that Lindsay Goodwin?
Yes, Lindsay Goodwin. Huh? What'd you say?
That's my sister.
Oh, hey, sis. Ashley said make some books, calendars, all of that. And yeah. Hey, Sharmika. She said, oh my gosh, I almost missed it. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
All right. So we talked about your process. We talked about some of your favorite products to offer your clients. So tell us now about, hi, she said hi. Tell us now about, what is some advice that you would give another photographer, whether they are just starting in their journey, whether they are, they're 3 years in business and they're trying to look for what they should look forward to in the future going forward. From your perspective, like what is some advice that you would give anyone in that sort of spectrum?
So I would say, and it's something that I've had to learn myself, and we touched on it earlier, it would be more of don't compare yourself to others because we all start as beginners and it's all a process and how we grow in our process. I love the posts, like I'm in a lot of different photography groups on Facebook, and I love the posts where they say, show us a picture from the beginning versus where you are now. And I actually posted, there was a group that I was in, and I posted my first family photo that I took in, I think it was 15 versus one that I took last month. And there was a significant difference. And in 15, I thought it was awesome. My client thought it was awesome. Mm-hmm. And I look now and I'm like, oh my gosh. But, just enjoying the process, learning, growing, getting a good education. I will say, and I actually didn't talk about this, but when I was preparing for this, I wanted to talk about kind of how I learned about photography. So one of the things that kind of helped me out a lot was I took a fundamentals of photography class on Creative Live, and it was like I literally stayed up most of the night watching it live, so it could be free. And I learned a lot about, just understanding aperture and just how to get proper exposure. And once I took that fundamentals class, it was like, eye-opening on, just how to do photography, so to speak. I also had several books. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Stunning Digital Photography. It's a book by.
Okay.
I can't. It's Tony somebody. It's a husband and wife team. They do a lot of like Lightroom tutorials and they write books. Tony and Chelsea. I can't think of their last name right now. Okay. But I ordered his book, Stunning Digital Photography, which was very helpful. I had a book on picture perfect lighting, picture perfect practice. Those helped out a lot. So just reading and learning, taking online classes, and just practicing really helps out a lot. And I would just say for people just starting or whether you've been in business for 3 years, just continuing to practice new things will definitely help out a lot. If you have a client that wants to try something new, definitely practice ahead of time and don't practice on your client. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Awesome. And I think Lisa said she has that book as well. Northrop. I'm not sure if I'm
that's
pronouncing
right.
the name right.
That was my first photography book, and it was good.
Awesome. Well, great advice, Sharetha, and thank you for sharing that, and as well as like giving us kind of a peek into your journey into photography, as well as your current process into photography and how you pretty much slay as a kid and family photographer. I have one more question. You actually reminded me about it. So when we're talking about groups, and you have a Facebook group for props and product styling. So tell us more about that. Like, how did you, get into like the styling? Where do you get your ideas from? Where do you go to get your props? So there's some queens who may be watching this that really like to incorporate props into their family sessions as well, and maybe want some inspiration and tips on how to go about that.
Gotcha. So I actually created that group, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, but it was more so out of a need. I actually wanted help in setting up sets, especially like when I do cake smashes for first birthdays, just to, just a centralized group just to get ideas and kind of bounce ideas off. Well, how do you think this set looks? And instead of it being in a broader group, it was more specific to that. And people kind of really enjoyed and it's not even just cake smashes. It's just whether you do fashion photography, any kind of photography where you do a set, you can kind of get feedback on that set or that prop. I get a lot of my props from Hobby Lobby that I use for kids. I usually kind of watch their sales. I'll, look online, and then usually they have the same sales in the store. And I actually live like 2 miles from a Hobby Lobby, so it's very convenient. So that, and I kind of watch thrift stores. I do like to go thrift shopping just to get, unique and inexpensive props. And I usually think about, planning out my set ahead of time. I usually will like draw it out a little bit just to make sure that things are, kind of where I'm thinking that there should be, set it up, see how it looks, and move things around accordingly.
Nice.
And I have a home studio as well, so I usually do my cake smashes and everything in my home studio.
I was going to ask there about your home studio too. Now, is there a way that you consolidate props? Like, what happens if you no longer need props? And then also, like, how do you know when you've got enough? Like, you can't just like buy it all, right? Like, so right. Do you have like certain sets that you use like frequently, or is it based on just kind of like what styles or what holidays are up? And then, also about organization. How do you organize your props?
Gotcha. So my home studio is actually a converted storage shed. It's actually detached from my house. And so it actually it's about maybe 180 square feet total. So it's not huge. But it does have like loft space where I can kind of store my props. And I try to not get super specific props. I usually, try to get things that I can use in different sets. So I try to stick more with like colors than like I wouldn't necessarily buy for like and I know like a very popular newborn prop is like a moon prop. I don't know if you've seen that before, but I probably wouldn't buy that just because it's very specific. So I try to do like, I might just use like a wood chair or a pink chair, and just layering with different colors, instead of finding a very specific prop. So I try to use my props in different sets and in different ways, whether I'm shooting a newborn or a child or an older child. I just rearrange things to kind of fit the set, if that makes sense.
Yes. Demi says, how do you organize your props?
So I have you mean for storage? I have some space like above my shooting space that I can actually store so I can store it. It's not organized, to answer your question. If I'm looking for something, I know that I have it. I actually have to kind of like go through, get on my ladder, look for the prop to find it. So it's not very organized in me. Maybe you can help me with that.
So you said it's on like shelves, a shelf on top, above. You said your shooting space.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I have like I said, it's a storage shed and it has a pitch roof. So like where the pitch is, it has like a shelf right there.
Okay.
Yeah, where I can store the props.
Nice. Nice.
Mm-hmm. And it has like 2 spaces. So I actually have a lot of stuff in there.
Okay. Demi says, yeah, I thought you were going to put me on something. Monique says, multi-use props are key. Like, y'all have the props, like, on lock. I love seeing y'all sets, especially with the little ones. I don't know. They're just not my expertise, so I can really appreciate when I see y'all, put in the work and to really create these beautiful sets. So not only is the photography a piece of art, but so are the sets. So it's cool to look and see like what you guys are up to and how creative you can make it based on like what your clients are wearing or what the occasion is. Lisa said your Easter set was everything.
Thank you, Lisa.
I don't remember if I'd seen that one. I have to go back and check. I probably have, but I'm not sure. So
yeah,
I will.
It was just you know what? I actually photographed my youngest daughter on the Easter set. So if you guys are interested, I have it on my blog on SharethaMonique.com. It's called Some Bunny Loves Me. Because that sign that says Somebody Loves Me. Get it, Some Bunny?
I got it. I'm corny anyway, so like if somebody says something like that, I know, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
okay. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Sharetha. It's been a pleasure speaking with you and talking about your journey, talking about your process, and just learning more about you and what you do. And I'm sure that queens who are watching this, whether they are new to photography or whether they maybe want to get into kids photography, family photography, or even like incorporating props, maybe even fine art photography, I'm sure they have learned a thing or two about what you've shared tonight. So thank you again, and thank you for all the queens who have joined us live, and for those who are watching the replay, please be sure to let us know where you're tuning in from, and if you're not part of the Queen Photographers, see the link in the caption as well as on the bottom of the screen here, and you can get connected with other queens in your state. So hope everyone has a good night, and we'll see you in a collaborative. Good night, y'all.
Thank you. Bye.